Last month, I gave my 30-day notice to move out from my apartment. You might not think that has much to do with running consistently, but it's the perfectly imperfect series of events to show you how I stay consistent during the most busy times of my life. To make sure that the move was as difficult as possible, I promptly took a 10-day trip to the East Coast from California. Instead of starting to pack up boxes the day after giving notice, I packed my suitcase and went to New York. I would be there for 6 days before taking another flight to Montreal. That trip up to Canada would add another 4 days and give me a total of 10 days where I needed to figure out how to stay consistent and what I was going to do for my exercise. If you've been following my comeback journey as I return to the elite level of trail running, thank you so much for being here. The best way you can continue to support me is by watching until the end of this video. I love sharing the ways that we chase our goals together, and today I'm going to be talking about the most important thing you need in order to improve: consistency. In this video, you'll learn my most effective strategies for staying consistent during the busiest times of your life. There's no reason you can't apply these tips for your daily routine as well, and it all starts with a plan. It's always surprised me that I actually have an easier time staying consistent while I'm traveling because I make such an effort beforehand to sit down and make a plan and figure out exactly when I'm going to have a chance to run. Let me know in the comments if you agree or if you think I'm kind of weird for feeling that way. And if you do think that's unusual, let me break it down real quick so you can see my process. I'll step through my day hour by hour, looking for when I might have a chance to run. And I'll do this the night before, if not multiple days in advance, to make sure there's enough advance notice if I need to shuffle some things around to make it work. Breaking your day out hourly like this also has a great side effect. By auditing your schedule and carefully monitoring your time, it makes it that much easier not to waste time on your phone when run o'clock rolls around. When I see it written out that I have a run from 12 to 1 and it's 12:05, as tempting as it might be just to send that quick email, don't forget that another one will soon follow. I know that every minute here is detracting from the time that I set aside to run. I'm not saying don't send the email, but there's certain things that are more time sensitive than others. If you're struggling with consistency, these are the kinds of things that will help you start respecting the schedule that you set for yourself and making sure that you always have time to get it in. And this isn't about being rigid. As Eliud Kipchoge said, discipline will set you free. This isn't at all about following a schedule just because you made it. It's about listening to yourself from the day before when you weren't stressed in the moment and you could logically lay out a plan that made sense for your day. If you're trying to get out for a run, do things that make space for you to do that, not things that make it harder for you to get away. Along with planning out your day, don't just plan the hours, visualize them. To make it easy for myself, I defined my non-negotiable. For me, the non-negotiable was training in zone 2 for at least an hour every day. Without guaranteed access to any way to cross-train, I thought this would be a great opportunity to test myself against running consistently. I hadn't run that many days in a row for over a year, so I was a little bit nervous for how my body would hold up. But going into the trip, I appreciated the challenge, and it built excitement for me about being in it for the long haul. Even though I was home visiting my family, I didn't have any days that I could take off from work. I knew we were about to move and I needed to have some days saved up for that. So as simple as it seems to just run for an hour a day, I needed something more. Just having a non-negotiable alone wasn't enough. I also needed to lower the barrier. I have what some would call an extensive warm-up routine between rolling out, timing my last meal, going to the bathroom, so I'd have to be okay with skipping some of this if I wanted to fit it all in around work, training, and visiting family. My goal of running at a low intensity for an hour a day actually fit in really well here. I made sure to not do efforts that would put me over the edge where I'd have a problem because I wasn't doing my full warm-up. Capping the time that you have available can actually be a really good forcing function to keep things easier than you might have otherwise. Remembering that I was in it for the long haul and that all I had to do was just show up day after day and then suddenly the trip would be over made it easy for me to follow the plan and go on autopilot. Since I didn't have to think hard or use much mental energy once I got out the door, I could just stay focused on following the steps I laid out for myself the week before I went away. Between these first two strategies, I did a really good job in New York sticking to the plan and making sure that I got my low intensity runs in. One of the benefits of starting this trip out at home was that I'm familiar with the area and I felt comfortable going out to run at night. But I realized that this wasn't a luxury that I would have in Canada. As soon as I landed and got in the Uber to go to the hotel, the case for mornings became obvious. My driver only spoke French, which I do not, and the streets were darker than expected for arriving in a city. Especially because I was traveling here for work, I knew that I'd have to protect my time even more carefully than I did in New York. Between long sessions and company dinners, I couldn't predict when the days would be ending. As useful as it is to go through your day hour by hour, the strategy doesn't help at all if planning is out of your control. As many runners also know, it's pretty risky to save your run until after an unknown dinner. Not only would it be dark and scary out on the streets, but a sloshing tummy would not make for a good time.
It's locked. No. Or is it? It is.
Leave a like on the video if you know what I'm talking about. As great as my plan was to run in the morning, it wouldn't matter if I had no idea where I was going or what I was wearing. It might not seem like planning your outfit and planning your route go together, but they fall in the same category of things that you should figure out in advance. Planning what I was going to wear the night before was actually really helpful because I wasn't familiar with what the morning weather would be like. Taking a second just to check the weather made a big difference for my comfort getting out the door and making sure that I set myself up with the best chance I could to enjoy the run. The same goes for having a rough idea of what route to follow. I personally love using Strava heat maps for this. Instead of aimlessly wandering around streets and doing loops, I could zoom out, find an area of the city that looked interesting to explore, and have a lot more fun than just running next to the highway where the hotel was. As the trip to Canada came to a close, I looked back over the past 10 days and was really proud of the consistency that I had. I didn't just feel this way because I stuck to the plan. I was also amazed that my body could do what I asked of it. In return, it was now asking something of me. As soon as I got back from Canada, my body said, "Do your minimum effective dose." That's tired body. I was beat up from running that many days in a row, and it was the first time in over a year I was anywhere close to that. As great as this was to test myself, I wanted to give my high injury risk body a chance to recover, but also keep progressing my fitness. I took inspiration from my non-negotiable while I was traveling, and instead of using an hour of zone 2 running per day, I defined my minimum effective dose as an hour of zone 2 something. The convenient option for me was the bike, and so I pedaled. I biked 4 days straight right up until the race that you can check out right here to find out how it went as soon as you're done with this video. At this point, I was so ready to settle back into a normal routine and my body just wanted a break from the action, but that didn't matter because I only had 2 weeks to get ready to move. To complicate matters more, there was a race that I really wanted to do, and it just happened to be on the same morning that we planned on moving. I knew that to feel good about the outcome of this race, I knew I'd need to reframe success. The night before, it was literally the last thing that I wanted to do, and I still had more packing to finish after the race. But I reminded myself that the goal wasn't to go fast, and that getting through it would be an amazing culmination of all the consistency that I'd put in over the prior few weeks. To do this well, I'd have to change how did it go to did I go. You might be wondering why even bother doing a race if that's your mindset, but there were a couple reasons I felt it was important to do this race. The first one is that it's on my favorite mountain and I wouldn't have had a chance to go up there before I left. I was also building confidence from the race I did 2 weeks earlier for how well my tendon that struggled with injury responded to running a half marathon on the trails without orthotics. Of course, me being me, I needed to step it up a notch, and I made a jump up to 30K, which worked out to be 19 miles for the race. My compromise is that I didn't wear racing shoes, but I still wanted to go find out if my ankle could handle the stress. As I started packing up the U-Haul, I knew that this race could get pretty ugly. I somehow lifted and rolled the treadmill out of my apartment by myself, and then deadlifted it straight into the U-Haul. Despite the soreness from moving everything I own outside, I got ready to race. It came out that I'm the one who has the course record from 6 years ago, almost 20 minutes faster. Even though this race and all the runs for the past month hadn't been my fastest, they might have been the most important, because every single one proved that I could keep showing up no matter what. And of course, after the race, I got right back to packing. Even once I made it down, there were all kinds of threats to my consistency. I knew we wouldn't be fully settled in for at least a few weeks, but as many runners know, the biggest risk of all was not having enough food. So the last pro tip I'll leave you with for the day: pack a snack. The last thing you want to do once you've put in all the effort to make the run happen is to get 15 minutes in only to realize that you're bonking like you've never bonked before. It might feel silly taking a gel before a run if you're not used to it, but it's worth at least bringing it for the peace of mind that you'll have the fuel you need to keep pushing even when you're a little bit more stressed than usual. The tricky thing with consistency is that there's all kinds of things that show up unexpectedly just trying to derail you. Your only job as someone whose goal is to stay consistent is set yourself up for success. Sometimes that's as simple as literally bringing the energy you need to get through it. If you're having an especially hard day, even during your normal routine, there's no reason you can't try whipping out a few of these tips. While my life might be settling down after a non-stop month, I'll still carry these habits forward. They've really helped make training easier and more effective on a daily basis. And consistent training week after week is what helps bring you that much closer to your racing goals. And speaking of race goals, I'm going to be racing a half marathon next week. It'll be my first race in the new town, so I hope there will be some good competition and that I'll get to meet some new running partners after the race. While this is just one of many races I'll have on my journey back to being an elite trail runner, finding satisfaction in the consistency that it takes to get there helps keep me showing up and putting the work in I need to get there. Make sure you subscribe if you're interested in seeing how I prepare them to find out how the race goes. Don't forget that these are all strategies that you can apply daily. Bring them into your regular routine and watch yourself run more consistently than you ever have. Let me know in the comments, which of these was your favorite? Do you have any others that you think runners like you would benefit from hearing? Get the discussion going, and I'll definitely respond and see you down there. As always, thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.